TA Certified Podcast. How we doing, everyone? A little intro. Yes, we're talking week 11 in the NFL today. And I just wanted to let it ride for a little bit. Okay, let's get into it today, huh? All right, we're looking at week 11 in the NFL. I'm going to do some opening lines. And I've got a couple of different websites and apps I got going to kind of look at the percentage of money and bets going on to different teams, because that kind of lets you know where pros and Joes are sitting at. So I like to look at those because also if you're on the side where all the money and the bets are, sometimes you don't want to be there, right? So let's start it off with Thursday Night Football. Titans on the road at the Packers. Packers are 3-point favorites. Over under is 41. And right now it looks like an even spread. About 51% of the money on the Pack and 55% of bets on the Titans. So the public knows the Titans have been playing well. The last time they saw them on TV was against the Chiefs, and they held their own. And then the Packers just had that amazing comeback. So it's you see it here. The pros are throwing money on this hot Packers team right now. Looks like they might have, I don't know what, figured it out, but shows that Rodgers is invested again. So one to watch in the next day or so, as that's the Thursday Night Football game. Moving on, Cleveland at Buffalo. Buffalo currently 8.5-point favorites at home. Over under is currently 43. That has dropped a ton since the news about Buffalo, New York getting an insane amount of snow coming up. 91% of the money is already on the under already. But we're looking at 58% of the money on the Buffalo Bills and 62% of the bets also on the Bills. I think this is this is the moment for the Bills, right? They've looked absolutely terrible the last couple games, specifically Josh Allen. I know he's a little bit injured, but he has shown that there is some chinks in the armor that can be exploited. So this is a turnaround right now, because they are back-to-back losses to the Jets and to now the Vikings. We all saw that game. Moving on, Jets on the road at the Patriots. Patriots 3-point favorites. Over under is a low 38.5. This one's kind of interesting. I get it in the sense that it seems that Vegas is trying to get as much people to bet the Jets right now. Looking at, and looks like I'm pretty spot on there, but also everyone looks, they just love the Jets, because 61% of the money right now and 61% of the bets are on the Jets. It's weird. If we look at this 2 weeks ago when the two teams played, it was the Patriots on the road, and the thing Patriots Patriots on the road, and they were 3-point favorites at the Jets. And I know the Jets just beat the Bills last time everyone watched them play. Both teams were just on a bye last week. But the Patriots also did what they were supposed to do against the Colts. I know the Colts had Sam Ehlinger, and that was a little different, but the Patriots did what they're supposed to do. So that one is a little interesting, how on the road the Patriots are 3 points favorites and not much has changed. If anything, the Patriots have now racked off 2 in a row. And the Jets did have a big statement win for sure. But this is Belichick against Zach Wilson. So usually take Belichick. Now moving on. Panthers at the Ravens. Ravens are currently 12.5-point favorites. 12.5-point favorites. Over under is 42. Already 83% of the money is coming in on that under. Kind of like, Carolina is showing that they can't score too much. Baltimore is a game management type team. They're getting some of their guys back, and Mark Andrews and I think Gus Edwards. So that will be great. But right now it's interesting. It looks like everyone is on the Panthers, 52% of the money. So that shows me that 48% of people, the smarts, are also laying it with that large number of 12 and a half with the Ravens. And also 66% of the bets are on Carolina. So I think the word is out that big underdogs have been profitable for the public and for a lot of people this year. So I think people see big lines and they just auto bet the team that is plus. Like in this case, Carolina is 12 and a half, right? So we'll see. Ravens are a good team, and Carolina is just not. They're just not. I know they're front end on the DA line studs, but for the most part, those dudes are not it. So let's move on. We got Washington on the road at the Texans. The Texans are currently 3.5-point underdogs at home. 77% of the money has already come in on the Texans, while 66% of the bets is on Washington. Pros versus Joes, typical game right here. Everyone just saw Washington take care of Philly. So they're like, oh, Heineke is now what? I think he's 3-1 since coming in and taking over. And they obviously are playing better. But this is a huge win that the Commanders just come off of. Texans got beat up last game. Now they're at home. They get more than a field goal. This just feels like a big letdown game. I love this line already, but I think I've already posted. You know what? I've already placed a bet on this one because I like the Texans, and usually I don't. This is also one that if you want to parlay in a teaser, you can take this one up to 9.5 or all the way up to 10 if you want to do a 6.5 point teaser and find another team you want to do that with. My recommendation might be teasing Patriots, and if you get 6.5, it looks like you'll do plus 3.5. So if you want to tease those two teams together, if you don't like the plus 3.5 of the Texans, I get it, but I think this is the spot. Next one, this game has had the biggest line movement that I've seen so far, and it's just it feels like the correction is way too much. So it's Philly on the road, the Eagles on the road at the Colts. Colts are 6.5-point home underdogs. 59% of the money has come in on the Colts. 65% of the bets have come in on the Eagles. I think most of where that money was coming from on the Colts was when the line was +9, +8, +7.5, +7. And now that Philly is under a touchdown, I mean, I think that's insane. This is the better coach team, the better team talent-wise on both sides of the football. Colts line is having trouble, and the one area that I can see the Colts maybe having their way with is that the Eagles, since losing Jordan Davis, they've been pretty much terrible on the run against the Texans and now against Washington. Back-to-back games without Jordan Davis, showing that they need him. Fletcher Cox is not the same player as of right now. So that's one area where it gives me pause. And obviously, Matt Ryan showed that he is, he's been in the league for forever. So he's not going to make that big, he is going to throw a pick, but he won't, he's not the Sam Allinger bad where, obviously last week against the Raiders, Matt Ryan was able to, like, once I saw Matt Ryan was starting, I knew when I was all over the Raiders last week, I knew the bet was toast. Like it made sense. It made sense. So this one is I'm all over the Eagles now that it's under a touchdown. I understood when it was at 9, when it was at 8 and all that. Now that the Eagles have lost, Sirianni, was a coordinator for the Colts for many years under Frank Reich, and this is still Frank Reich's coaching staff because they just hired, Jeff Saturday. So this by no means is like Indy's just going to come run all over it. Like Eagles are a better coach team, but I'm also biased. So, all right, moving on. Detroit going on the road to the Giants. Giants are 3-point favorites. 66% of the money and 74% of the bets are on the Giants right now. Over under is 45, and the over under on the Colts and Eagles game was 44. But 45 seems middle of the road because Giants aren't going to score a lot, but Detroit likes to score a lot, and maybe Giants score more because Detroit's defense is not it. Um, so that one's an interesting one. I think this is I like Detroit in this one, but that 3 is just such a low number. But the Giants are not that 7-2 is just it's unreal for them. I can't believe it. And I think this is where they lose one that they should win. And they've been winning all of them so far. Really, they've been doing great. So moving on, one that I was on a lot until I've gotten further information and just done some more research. Chicago going on the road at Atlanta. Chicago is a 3-point underdog. 86% of the money and 83% of the bets are on Chicago. Over under is 50. There's 54% of the money has come in on the under. So it looks like people realize that both teams like to run. Chicago does it in a different way with Justin Fields taking off, but they also do lean on Khalil Herbert and they're running their trio of running backs back there. But same with Atlanta. Like Atlanta will run the ball down 20. Atlanta will run the ball no matter what. Last week I think with the short week, they didn't want to give Patterson too much work because he's just coming out that injury. And this is one where I think he gets a good amount of touches. Algier also more into that backup role, and they use him in different ways. So I've just heard so much about Atlanta being the better team, people having them being legitimate 5 points. Like this should be a -5 instead of 3. So there might be some, value on Atlanta here. And originally I was all on Chicago, but I think that's where everyone is right now because of what he's done. So one I'm going to have to rethink. Next one, Rams going on the road at the Saints. Saints are 4.5-point favorites at home. Over under 38.5. 54% of the money has come in on the Saints, and 60% of the bets have come in on the Rams. Cooper Kupp is out. This Rams offense was already mediocre at best with him and Stafford, and we still haven't heard word yet on Stafford. I'm feeling like he will play. The Rams defense has been nothing to write home about. The Colt McCoy-led Cardinals didn't do everything they wanted to, but they also, weren't stymied completely last week. So I think the Saints are obviously should be favored at home. That atmosphere is raucous, but also both these offenses are bad. But I think the Saints offense is a little better, at least right now. And I think that they get Jarvis Landry back. Not that he's going to make a huge difference, but it's an addition. So that's another one where I think that's a complete stay away, but we're just talking opening lines. All right. Now, Vegas goes on the road to Denver. Denver is now up to 3. They were 2.5 for a while. Over unders 41.5. 76% of the bets, 76% of the money on the Broncos and 58% of the bets also on the Broncos. This is one where Vegas just looked like an absolute dumpster fire. I mean, I know Matt Ryan was a late start, but Jeff Saturday's never coached an NFL game. Parks was his first game calling offensive plays for an NFL team. So Vegas just looked that bad, and Broncos look that bad, but Broncos defense is legit. And I know this stat's going around everywhere. I've heard it so many different times, but the Broncos, if they've scored 18 points in every single one of their games this year, I think the stat is 8-1. That's insane. That shows that their defense is doing everything they can and that the offense is completely screwing them. 94% of the money has come in on that under 41.5 too. Sheesh. All right. Next one, Bengals, Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, 4-point home dogs. 80% of the money on Pittsburgh, 57% of the bets on the Bengals. Bengals coming off of a bye. Pittsburgh took care of business against the Saints last week. Over under 41, 62% of the money already on the under, but it looks like people are starting to bet over on this, and 68% of the bets are coming in on the over. Um, so this one, you know, it's a division game. They always play each other well. Um, Mike Tomlin and that defense knows Joe Burrow well at this point, but vice versa. Um, and they won't have the star wide receiver in Chase back, but after getting just beat up by the Browns, I think, the Bengals are going to iron things out more. They came back, looked really good against the Panthers, but that's the Panthers. So this is a next step up, but also Kenny Pickett still learning it all, still coming to his own. So we'll see there. Cowboys on the road at the Vikings. Vikings are 1.5-point underdogs at home. 55% of the money and 68% of the bets are on the Vikings so far. This is one where everyone saw what the Vikings did, and it's been talked about nonstop. And the Cowboys also lost in a pretty. I mean, everyone knew everyone loves those Cowboys Packers games are legendary. And everyone was probably watching that because there's lots of Cowboys and Packers fans. So they saw the collapse of Dak a little bit. They saw the collapse of that team. And still they're favored here. Tells you a little bit about what the books think about two teams. I like the Dallas Cowboys a lot here. Over unders 47.5. I think it's over game 2, but I like the Cowboys to take care of business on the road. They need this one a ton. And the Vikings, they put it all out there last game. I mean, they put it all out there. So how much more do they have in the tank? Moving on, Chiefs on the road at the Chargers, and we got Chargers as 6.5-point underdogs. 61% of the bets and 67% of the money have come in on the Chiefs already. Over under is 50.5. Looks like a lot of money is coming in on an over number. I can see why. The two teams I feel like are going to air it out. The Chiefs did what they're supposed to do last week against the Jags, and they covered that full 10. This is one where the Chargers are just so beat up. They lost so many guys last week, and they were already down people. I know they might get Keenan Allen back, but as if you're a football fan and just a sports fan, any player coming off of an injury the first game usually isn't full tilt, and especially a hamstring soft tissue injury like Keenan Allen has. So that one, I wouldn't expect a ton from Allen, but it could be one of those where you put him out there and everyone else is a little more open because you at least have to put your eyes on him. So then that's 6.5. I think at 7, it started out at 7 and got bet down because the Chargers were able to, cover that 7 number last week against the Niners too. So we'll see. And Monday Night Football, this one's the Mexico City game. Currently, the Niners are 8-point favorites on the road. Against the Cardinals, and 51% of the money, wow, coming on the Cardinals, and 60% of the bets have come in on the Cardinals. Maybe, San Francisco looked a little not with it too much last week. They couldn't punch it in on multiple occasions. Deebo Samuel looked like the odd man out a little bit in that offense. CMC, is Elijah Mitchell not better, but does he run harder in that Shanahan scheme? Also, CMC is just coming into the fold, so he's still got plenty of time to get it right. But something to keep your eye on. Something definitely to keep your eye on. This one, the San Francisco 49ers are just a better all-around team than the Cardinals, but that number's big. Garoppolo seems to not keep that team together how he should. And if Colt McCoy starts for the Cardinals, he seems, I think he runs the offense how it should, how Kingsbury wants it to go, which depends on what you think about Kingsbury, if that's good or not. So it's going to be a good week. Week 11 in the NFL. It's going to be a tough one. There's a lot of games that the lines aren't too favorable. The books are getting smarter, obviously. Everyone has more information now, and more, data points to put into their systems and spit out certain numbers and get certain outputs. So it's the time of year where if you're a smart bettor, you can make money. But also, if you're just doing this novice,ly, be aware that these books are smart now. It's week 11. They have so much data, and these are some of the best numbers you're going to get. So early lines are some of like where you want to go. Wednesday's even kind of late, to be honest with you. Um, by Sunday, those lines are so shored up and so much information's got out there that good luck, like good luck. So early lines where you can make a lot of the money. This has been week 11 look ahead lines with some looking at the data for money and bets so we can see where the public and some of the smarts are at. And that's it. Over and out. Till next time, folks.